Finding a good romance is really just digging through a dumpster. Welcome to Less Than a Day podcast. Don't ask us to explain the name. We're not going to. I'm Kay,
I'm Kiko.
and we're here to talk about books, movies, TV shows, geeky things. Spoiler warning for every piece of media ever created. We're probably going to talk about it. Will it all be accurate? Probably not. It's from our memory, and our memory is not always that accurate.
We got goldfish memory.
So this is supposed to come out in February around Valentine's Day. So this episode has a theme. We're going full romance. So we're going to kick it off with, as per usual, our current events. So this is a catch up on the new media we've been reading or watching or listening to. This time it's me catching up with you, Kiko, because we finished watching Good Omens season 2.
You finished watching it. I finished watching it way earlier and was just waiting and waiting for you to freak out like I did.
Yeah, you really kind of pulled a reverse Sunshine on me.
But it was actually good this time.
But you bamboozled me and broke my heart into a million pieces, and we binge watched Good Omens. We saw all of season 1 in a single day,
That's what I did.
and then I unfortunately had stuff to do, so we had to split up season 2, and literally the whole day while I was working, I was like, I cannot wait to go home and finish season 2. I think I was texting you that too. I was just like, when will this day end? You did this to me. So we're not gonna recap Good Omens, I think, like we usually do when we read new books. It's pretty popular. People should be familiar with it.
Yeah.
So I know we already said it, but I'm saying it again. Huge spoilers for Good Omens. Watch it. It's honestly some of the best TV I've seen in a long time. If I had watched it a little bit earlier, it would have been on my best of 2023 list. It was so good.
Yeah.
The vibes of season 1 and 2 were so different. They felt like borderline different shows at some points.
Yeah. And I honestly have no memory of what happened in season 1 other than some apocalypse, antichrist child, something like that, and there was a random witch in there. I don't remember. Literally have zero memory of season 1. You can watch season 2 without watching season 1, I would
Yeah.
say.
There's very little overlap, I think. And the bits that you do need context for, I think the show does a pretty good job of filling in the
Yeah,
blanks.
honestly, season 2 has more background information on Crowley and Aziraphale,
Aziraphale.
Aziraphale than season 1.
It's Crowley, I think, but I say it Crowley because of Supernatural. But yeah, season 1 was way more fast-paced and intense, and I honestly think a little bit funnier too. The vibes of it were way different, and in a weird way, I don't think I can rank season 1 and 2 of which one I liked more, but season 1 felt more like a complete story than season
Yeah,
2.
for me, I would say season 1 was plot based, season 2 was
Character driven.
character based, character slash relationship based, as in the relationships between everyone, really, not just romantic.
Yeah, they were really fleshed out, I think.
It was also, I feel like, way more unserious.
Season 2, yeah.
Yeah,
The
it was goofier.
stakes were way lower, I think, season 2.
Yeah, season 2 has a world ending type
Season 1, you mean?
event thing that's maybe gonna happen. I honestly didn't feel the
In
urgency.
season 2? Yeah, it was much slower.
I think season 1 up until the end, they were like, oh shit, everything's gonna go
Yeah.
wrong.
It was honestly more suspenseful, I think, in season 1 than season 2. You really were sort of on the edge of your seat at some parts of season 1. But that isn't to say that season 2 was boring and I disliked it in any way.
For me, season 1, I could barely keep up. I honestly was really confused throughout the entirety of season 1. I didn't know what was going on at all. There were so many point of views. I think that's probably another one of them. And they like actually switched point of views. And some of them had nothing to do with each other. It's like the type of thing where they're all in different places, but they all come together in the end.
Yeah,
So that's
okay.
what really
So
confused me.
have you heard of Durarara? It kind of has, it's this anime. It kind of has the same vibe as what you were saying of there's so many points of views and then they all sort of come together. In Durarara, there are so many different POVs of characters that truly have nothing to do with each other. There's some that are high school students, there's some that are in the Yakuza, there's this one fae creature. It's all disconnected and you're like, what does any of this have to do with anything? And you're so confused. And then there's an episode halfway through season one where it all sort of like domino effects falls into each other and you're like, oh, this is why we care about you. This is how you're related to everyone else, and it's truly brilliant. I think that's like the whole point of Cloud Atlas too, but
Yeah, yeah, I wanted to watch it, but I think it's a little too serious for me. I like watching, it's serious to me personally, but not to the world. Fast and Furious, high stakes.
no, don't. I can't. I love you, but no, you're wrong.
You're wrong.
Fast and Furious has zero stakes.
Fast and Furious has so much. Can you imagine your family falling apart like that?
But they never do. But they never
Yeah,
do.
because Dominic Toretto got them together.
There are no
Dominic
stakes.
Toretto
No
is-
matter what happens, you know Dominic Toretto is gonna
Save the
drive
day.
real fast and save the day. There are no stakes. But that's okay. That's not why you watch Fast and Furious.
Says you.
But yeah, that's something I liked about the first season of they did develop each of these characters and they gave them all motivations and it was kind of fun and quirky and cute and it all sort of lined up together for that big showdown at the end. It was very power of love. I loved it.
Yeah.
I did think that the random relationship between the witch and the witch hunter guy was so out of the blue weird. I was like, huh, I watched Good Omens way too late, to be honest. I started watching it when it first came out and everyone was obsessed with it. And then I stopped. Mostly because I was surprised that despite it having such a strong biblical undertone,
It doesn't feel very
it doesn't
biblical.
feel very biblical. Like one of the reasons I gave up on Supernatural is that it started like driving way into Bible lore and I don't know anything about the Bible. And so I felt lost most of the time when they were having these reactions to certain demons or angels.
You didn't have any of that Cassandra Clare knowledge because they have all those.
Do they?
Yeah, isn't there
Dude,
like Raphael?
I don't know. I know that if you add like an AEL to the end, they're angels, but I don't know that. I don't
I think I
remember.
read it a decade ago.
Oh my God, I actually think it has been almost a decade since I
I
read
think it's been a decade.
City of Bones. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Oh, I don't remember anything except it's kind of weird that Jason and Clary end up together because
No, I
they're
don't.
low-key. They
I
think they're
don't.
siblings.
Back to our actual
Yeah,
topic.
back to our house. What if we talk about Good Omens? Yeah. So the things that I liked best about at least the first part was I did like how quirky and fun it was. That's just the vibe of Neil Gaiman in general and Terry
Yeah.
Pratchett. So I think that translated really well. The casting, oh my God,
Michael
incredible.
Sheen, David Tennant,
Oh
golden
my
casting.
God,
What is it?
incredible.
Lightning in a bottle.
Yes. I will say David Tennant does give a little bit doctor energy every now and then.
Yeah, yeah, especially when because he's an exaggerated character, and so is Doctor Who, and so you see crossover.
Yeah, the way especially when Carly starts ranting every now and
Yes,
then,
yes,
when he gets to that serious rant, I'm getting flashbacks to Tenny. Yeah.
yeah. I would say John Hamm. I really liked as Gabriel.
Yes.
Both Gabriel. I mean, obviously OG Gabriel. No, 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 no. But memoryless Gabriel is so funny. What's his name?
Oh my God, wait.
George or something?
No, 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 no. I can't remember.
Whatever. Memoryless Gabriel was so funny.
Yeah.
You know,
That was
he
great.
reminded me, it was a little of the same concept. What's his name? Vision in Avengers. You know how he's like a being that's created, but he's technically not a baby. Memoryless Gabriel is like that. He's not a baby,
Vision
but he
vibes.
doesn't have a baseline.
Yeah, he's just funny. I think that was also really great casting. Everyone killed it. The only casting decision I didn't super love is when they changed up Beelzebub.
Beelzebub. That's exactly what I was about to say.
But I get it. Eventually, when you get to the end of season 2 and you
It works
realize
itself out.
they're in a relationship, it's
Yeah.
like that's why they changed the actor, I think, because the vibe of the old Beelzebub did not fit into a romantic relationship type story. The new one, I thought was just something off. I feel like they didn't give the vibe of creepy demon. It was a
Yeah.
little too energetic.
No, it was a little too tired administrator,
From season 1 or season 2?
too.
Really?
Yeah. I needed a little more. I didn't feel any. I mean, they're supposed to be Beelzebub, right?
Yeah.
They're supposed to be like evil.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Kind of
saying. The
evil.
vibes were kind of off. It didn't give grandeur of a demon prince, right?
Yeah.
There was no, I don't know, air
That's
of
what I'm saying.
superiority.
Beelzebub gave out tired administrator who wants to get over this shit and be with her boo. Be with
Not
her boo
even
already.
not even that. There are parts where Beelzebub straight up devolves into sort of more of a comedic character. It honestly felt like she was trying too hard, if that makes sense, to be to be funny or
Yeah,
relatable or
for me
something. It
that
just
for me
didn't.
I saw that when is it the janitor dude in hell, um, where Beelzebub's yelling at the guy to get out and he's
Yeah,
trying to be
not
like,
enough.
"Are you supposed to be here?" It felt
Yeah.
very comedic, and I didn't feel the fear that Beelzebub was gonna get mad at this guy and smite him.
There wasn't enough casual murder, is the
No,
thing.
it wasn't hell enough for me.
Yeah.
And if you know me, I like my violence.
But it all kind of resolves in the end when you see their relationship. I
Yeah,
think the Beelzebub character kind of
it
sunk in a
makes
little
sense.
better.
Yeah, it makes
Yeah.
sense towards the end, and then I don't mind it anymore.
Yeah. I think it would have been interesting if they had tried to make a romance with how Beelzebub was season 1 instead of rewriting the character a little
I
bit
don't
for
remember
season 2.
Beelzebub season one, so
That's
that's
the
why I'm not talking
thing.
about
There
Beelzebub season.
is a very dry character. Dry, evil. There's a little moment of comedy at the very end of season 1 where they're like, how am I going to tell all these angels to stand down? And Beelzebub goes, try telling 10,000 demons to stand down.
No, you know what was really funny but unserious? The episode, was it Lilith?
I don't think there's a Lilith in this.
Maybe I'm just imagining. It's the one where I don't remember her name. It's that demon person, and she tries to get that army, the demon army. She's trying to get that demon army
Yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
get.
yeah. I know what you're talking about.
She's so
Shax.
funny. It's so funny
That
to
is
me.
really
It was
funny.
just so funny to me. Her character didn't make sense to me in the context. She was so irrelevant, but she was so that scene in the warehouse. Basically, she's trying to have like a hoorah with this smaller than she expected demon army, and they're not taking her seriously. And it's really, really funny because she's very serious about this cause, about attacking Crowley and Aziraphale, and the demon army, quote unquote, doesn't care.
Yeah.
It's really funny.
I thought the whole time during the second season, I thought the big plot twist was going to be that they had made Gabriel human and they had a way to make angels and demons human. And it was going to end with Crowley and Aziraphale choosing to be a human and not
Well, I'm so glad you
themselves.
had thoughts because I was head empty, no thoughts. I was just watching it. Usually I try to guess, every time I try to guess the ending, but I was just watching it in fascination. Mostly because, like I told you, I didn't feel the stakes in this one, so I didn't feel the need to guess what happened.
Yeah.
I knew it was going to work itself out. It had the vibes from the beginning. But I mean, I guess it didn't work itself
Yo,
out.
yo, don't. That ending was heartbreakingly sad. We finished watching it, right? And after it was over, we just had to sit there in silence. It ends with Aziraphale in the elevator, and then Crowley's driving away in his car, and it's just them as the credits are rolling. I don't even remember if there's any music or anything. I think it's like straight up silence.
It's just this sense of dread because like that if they greenlight a season 3, which I'm sure they did. They
No,
have
they
to.
are. Season
Okay.
3 is the last season.
Alexa played Despacito, but
I think that's okay. I would rather them
Yeah.
make a good show for 3 seasons than
this one I'm fine with because season 1 had so much
yeah.
that I'm
Season
fine.
1 could have been a standalone.
Yeah, yeah.
It is a standalone in a weird way.
And then season 2 we got the romance and the cuteness, so I'm fine.
Oh my God.
We hit all my
Speaking
goals.
of the romance in season 2, we'll talk a little bit more about our main character's romance, but the shopkeeper romance, I was not a fan.
Yeah, I was not a fan. I didn't feel their romance at all.
I think the point of it was to act as like,
they were just a plot
yes,
device.
it was supposed to sort of draw parallels between Aziraphale and Crowley and their relationship, but
Crowley and Aziraphale, their relationship spans eons,
Yeah.
right? Since the beginning of time.
It's not the same, but at the same time, I think that was the point of it, was to, because they were forcing these two to be in love, it was trying to make them take a look at their own relationship. And I think that was the idea. But the problem is that especially the coffee shop owner was just so unlikable as a character. She was
Yeah,
so mean.
I didn't like her at all. She was just so mean to her love interest. Was she married or was
She was
she
dating
she was
someone.
dating someone? Yeah. And we don't see the person she's dating at
Mm.
all. The person she's dating is this possessive, controlling,
It's a toxic relationship.
yeah, very toxic relationship. And you know what? Her, the barista or the owner of the coffee shop, being in that toxic relationship didn't make sense to me at all, because she's a character that's really strong. That's strong in the sense that she has her own, she's set in her ways. So
Well,
maybe I guess that
that
would,
I think that's the point, right?
yeah, but at the same time, she doesn't take bullshit
Bullshit.
from others. So why would she
Well,
take
yeah, I think
Bullshit.
bullshit
that's
from,
it's kind of how abusive relationships work. Yeah.
I guess.
That wasn't even my problem. I think they were trying to make her like the female version of Crowley to draw that parallel. But he's an asshole,
Asshole.
but he's also funny, right? Like,
No, she's not funny at all.
no.
Zero
It
humor.
just comes off as mean instead of sarcastic and a little bit blunt. It's just mean.
Yeah, I found the vinyl. She was really
Hmm.
sweet. I actually liked her,
There's this part when they first
but
meet where she's like, "Why do you sell records if no one comes to your store?" And I was like, "Bruh." Like, there was no need. I mean, it's a valid question, but also I think vinyls are super popular right now.
and
Yeah.
this takes place in the
Yeah.
modern day
So,
era.
it's whatever.
Oh, you know what I just realized? I mean, it's a given, obviously, but the Sandman and Good Omens kind of have the same vibe. Like, obviously, because they're both Neil Gaiman, but it's interesting. I just thought of that. That's really
Yeah.
interesting.
From what I've seen of Salmon, it does kind of have
It's sort of
similar.
like filmed in the same way, and the
Mhm.
interactions are they set up between characters are sort of the same.
Sandman's a little bit darker, but yeah.
Oh, oh, so much darker
Yeah.
for sure.
But I think we can sort of transition into our main topic and still talk about Good Omens. Since this is our romance episode, let's talk a little bit about romance. And season 2 of Good Omens is all about the romance. I would say it's the theme of the whole season. Yeah, see, I feel like the theme of season 2 is all about Aziraphale and Crowley's romantic relationship developing, because in the background you have both the shopkeeper's romance and you have Gabriel and Beelzebub falling in love. So the theme really is love.
Yeah, there's three different romances.
And I honestly feel like that's what made the season so interesting and gave it such a different vibe, was just the focus on something else entirely. And I think that Aziraphale and Crowley is maybe one of my favorite romantic pairings of all time because it was just done so excellently. But yeah, romance. I feel like people who know me think that I don't like romance.
Yeah, because I feel like both of us are pretty boo romance. Like we
In
give
real
boo
life.
romance type energy, but we love it. We
Oh
eat it
my
up.
god. It's probably, I think, if I were to rank my favorite genre, fantasy is obviously number one, but romance is pretty much on par with it.
Romantasy.
Romantasy is the best genre. I love it. It just gives me fluffy vibes, butterflies. I hate the cringe, but I love the
But
fluff.
that's what's great about books. I just flip the
Yeah,
page,
you can just fast forward.
or I elect not to read it.
Yeah. I think that I like reading romance more than I like watching
Yeah,
romance.
it's much less. I get less secondhand embarrassment
Yeah.
because I'm not watching it on screen, and I know that two people in real life didn't act this out.
Yeah, and also you get to, I think, understand the thought processes of characters
Yeah.
more than you do when you're watching it on screen.
It's always nice. It is nice to see it on screen, but
Mhm.
it's got to be done in a very specific way.
Well, it also depends, I think, on the title, because Bridgerton is definitely better to watch than it is to read, and the romance is definitely better when watched than
Yeah.
read, but
I guess it depends on who writes the
it
book and
depends on who
who
writes it.
makes the piece of media.
That's the thing. I feel like there's so much good fantasy out there, and most authors have no trouble writing good fantasy, but yeah, I feel like finding a good romance is really just digging through a dumpster and looking for a single grain of a good story. You know what I mean? There's so much garbage out there.
And I think there's also, I'm personally just very picky. There's a certain type of thing I like to see or read or
Mhm.
whatever. And Good Omens gave me a lot of that.
Oh my gosh,
It gave me a
yeah.
lot of the specific type of romance that I like. I wrote like characteristics of it
I
down.
think we kind of have the same vibe of what we like, but I do want to put it out there that this is just our opinions.
Yes.
And like we like the same flavor of romance. I recognize that there are people out there who like the trash romance. Huge caveat, this is our opinion of what we think good romance is. When I was having this conversation with other people, even, and I got their perspectives, like it's very clear to me that it's maybe not the norm of what we think is good. Some people really love the trash.
Yeah, because people, when they want romance, they want romance. They want to see the actual romance. But I guess we don't want to.
That's the thing. I wonder if we have a different opinion about it because I'm not interested in romance in real life, right?
Yeah.
So for me, a well-written romance is just a well-written relationship. And some people want escapism. They want things that they don't get in
Yeah.
real life. And so they want like toxic relationships and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. That's the thing I can't stand.
They hate dark romance, which is becoming so popular now.
No, me too.
It's so gross.
With Cindy made this video on, there was this viral book called Hooked. And it was supposed to be,
Oh, that sounds
was it,
familiar.
was it like Peter Pan? Yeah,
Maybe.
Hooked, right? Like Captain Hook? I don't remember. Or maybe it was Captain Hook and who the hell knows? Or maybe it was Wendy, something like that. It's so bad. I never read it, so I guess
Yeah.
I don't have the authority or whatever. But come on,
Yeah.
come on. She read excerpts that is straight from the book, and it's ridiculous.
I'm telling, and for some people, that's just the thing that they like. They like
And you
the
know what?
garbage.
We don't
We
shame.
don't.
To each their own.
A little bit. I do shame a little bit because some of these romance, maybe we shouldn't be glorifying things like 15-year age gaps. Maybe we don't romanticize 108-year-olds looking in on sleeping 17-year-olds. I like to watch you sleep. There are some things people shouldn't be romanticizing,
Yeah.
but to each their own.
But I just want to say, we're not saying, I guess we are saying kind of to age gaps, but I think I'm fine if the younger person is like 30. No, I'm fine if they're like 35. And it's not like like a 30-year age gap, you know? I think 15-year age gap if you're 30, I think, or 35 or whatever, is fine.
Weirdly, I don't mind the age gaps where they're like when it's like hundreds of years compared to like a 20-year-old, I actually don't care because it's fantasy, right? That's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, and also, I mean, what are you expecting if, especially like urban fantasy, if one of the people in the relationship, if he or whatever, if they're older, you're not gonna find everyone of the same age. You know, if you're like 300 years old, how many 300-year-olds
Year
are you
olds,
gonna date? You
yeah,
know,
yeah, I know. And obviously if you want to write like a human main character for people to relate to,
they're gonna be a human age.
they're going to be human age, and then you have these fantasy creatures that are centuries old. I think in that case I really don't care because it's fantastical. It's weird when the age gap is like 100 years. You know what I mean? Basically what I'm trying to say is I still find Edward and Bella creepy, but
Yeah, and especially Bella was a minor.
yeah, that's what makes it bad. They have to be at least in their 20s for the whole fantasy creature age gap thing to be okay
Oh yeah,
for me.
they've got to have a developed mind. They
Yes.
have to have some sort of life.
Yes.
Oh
And
gosh.
there's also, I think, a maturity level, really. Like, if your character is
And I don't think
mature,
Edward really. I read Midnight Sun actually. I don't think he has that maturity either.
I read Midnight Sun when the first couple chapters leaked, and she said she was never gonna finish writing it because she was so upset the chapters were leaked. And at that time, I still really loved Twilight. So I read it and I actually really liked it. I don't have the patience, energy, or care in me to go back and read it now. But like talking about good romances, what we really liked. Like I said, I loved Carly and Aziraphale's relationship. First and foremost, the chemistry. We already talked about what good casting choice it was, but just the pure chemistry.
You know, like there are some like acting
Mhm.
like partners. Yeah. You know, Dwayne Johnson and Kevin Hart, they always do movies together.
Ryan Gosling and Emma Stone, I think, are good. George Clooney and Julia Roberts.
Oh, yeah, yeah. There's just certain people who worked well together.
Yeah. And they worked really well together. Them fleshing out like the little bits of romance over the course of the season of in the flashbacks. Because they're not like romantic flashbacks. It's just two guys hanging out, but just like the subtext. Every time he said angel, my heart melted a little bit. You know what I meant?
Because it felt like a nickname and not a label.
Yeah, because I think it was, right? It's just, oh my God.
I wrote a list of what I like to see: restraint. Restraint in the actual writing of the romance, where it's not overt.
Yeah.
That's what I like. And then a slow burn.
Oh my God, I love a slow burn.
Yo, you know, Crowley and Aziraphale were both slow burn and not slow burn because when they met, you felt they had something, but it didn't come into fruition until now. And even then, we're not getting our happily ever
Oh
after.
my God. Don't. I'll cry.
I like the reluctant acceptance of each other's feelings. Like you're like, oh sure, I actually like this person. God damn it, fine.
I love that. That's always so funny of where you really don't want to be in love and then it hits you, it's like, fuck, what do I do now?
I guess I'm in it now.
It's too late for me.
Doing things even if they don't want to. Crowley lets himself be dragged around by his Aziraphale.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to do these things, but he'll do it anyways.
It's like in
It's the magic show.
have you seen Attorney Woo?
Yes, I think the whole whale thing, right?
When she drags him to go to the whales and she's like so confused that he doesn't find it fun. He's like, I like you. I don't really give a shit about the whale. But that is very sweet.
Cheering for the other person, even though it wasn't that great.
Like the support, just unconditional support, you know? Even when you know they're being a moron, you're just like, that's my person.
Yeah.
You got this, girl.
Dancing scenes. But they're really arguing.
Oh my God. No, don't tell me. Dancing is always so romantic.
But it doesn't have to be dancing specifically. Basically, they're doing something, a normal activity, but they're arguing, but it's like flirting. You know, it's like arguing, flirting.
Oh, you're thinking
another example, Pride and Prejudice, yes. Darcy and Elizabeth.
Yeah. That Pride and Prejudice is one of my favorite romances, I think, of all time.
Also, I'd like to another romance I really liked. I mentioned this in my bests, I think, The English with Emily Blunt and the actor who plays Sam in Twilight, ironically. Their relationship is just so it's really good.
I think the thing for me that makes a good romantic relationship is really the development of a friendship.
Yeah.
It's the most important part. Every good romantic relationship that I've ever read starts where they get to know each other and they develop this sort of mutual respect, banter. A relationship is good if there is banter between the characters and it's fun and light and kind of silly sometimes.
Yeah, I mean the context of the show isn't light, but I can say that they develop like a relationship. Like there's a bond between them. You can clearly tell.
Or even if it's a more serious thing like The English, if it's something where they rely on each other, they're partners, they work together.
Yeah, even then I think they have like a few jokes here and there. Like they have some moments of like
joking around like with their partner is to me the hottest thing ever.
Yeah, it's like that whole thing where I think every other person wants their partner to have like the same the same sense of humor as they do. They want to find the same things funny.
I feel like more people are more funny than I am, so I would prefer someone funnier than me. I don't think I'm particularly funny, but
yeah, or no, I meant like.
But yeah, I know what you mean.
Find the same things.
Yeah. The same sense of humor. Sense of humor is so important, I think.
Yeah.
And
how we laugh at dumb scene, you know, like it's supposed to be like a really romantic or maybe really serious scene, but we both start laughing like that.
That's what I'm saying. Chemistry, I think, really comes from friendship. And that's why Good Omens works so well, because they spend a whole season just developing the friendship between these two characters. And then that we see. And every scene that we see that leads down the path of them eventually admitting their feelings to each other, every flashback that goes into the story is not focused on them forming a romantic relationship. They're just having adventures as friends.
Yeah, you know what? I don't particularly lean towards friends to lovers, but even if Crowley is a demon or whatever, and Aziraphale is an angel, and so you would think it's enemies to lovers, it's very much friends to lovers because even when they initially meet, they don't hate each other. There's no hatred
Yeah.
between them. It's just sort of Aziraphale being curious and a little, what's the word, miffed.
Yeah.
He's a little like,
Annoyed.
yeah, he's a little like, really? That's what you're gonna do? But and Crowley's like, yeah, join me. So
Yeah.
it's friends, lovers, and I like it.
Right up until the end. The end where they take our hearts.
Not the friends, lovers, the enemies.
They take our hearts and they throw it on the ground and they stomp all over it. And you know what? All that I had read online about season 2 was that there was a kiss, right? And I was super hyped. And then the kiss happened and I was like,
In the last scene of the last episode.
I know. I was like, I take it back. I don't think I wanted this.
Like both the kiss and the second act conflict start at the same time. Because the kiss happens after they argue.
Yeah.
It's the kiss is like the goodbye. They know it's gonna end. It's inevitable.
It's Crowley trying to convince him to stay.
It's not said in a romantic moment, actually.
No, it's not. And it is romantic, but it's not mutually romantic,
Yeah.
I don't think. It's just like desperate almost.
It's a kiss of desperation.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, it's not just those two. I think I really prefer romances with that sort of underlying banter and friendship,
Yeah.
no matter the genre, no matter the piece of media. That's my favorite relationships of all time. Yeah, actually, well, since we're talking about the banter specifically, I think one of the things that I remember that does that really well is Hex Hall, which I know it's been a while since you've read it. It's been a long time since I've
But
read
I
it.
thought you reread it.
No, that's the thing. I was gonna reread it, and I got the first book, and then took it on vacation, and everyone I was on vacation with borrowed it from me to read, and so I never got to actually reread it. But they all loved it. Every single person was like, "This is amazing." I'm like, "Yeah, it's good for a YA book. It's phenomenal." But I think was one of the first romantic relationships I ever read, and it's one of the few romantic relationships that I remember going back to reread for because Sophie and Archer have this sort of they have incredible chemistry first of all, but they're friends first, right? There's a part in the first book that I vaguely remember where she has a crush on him from day 1, but they start going to detention together and they become friends and they have inside jokes. Inside jokes, by the way, another cornerstone of a fantastic romantic relationship. Because I don't know, it connects you to the other person, I think. But they have inside jokes and then they make each other laugh and that's how they start falling in love. And so when they do become true enemies and book 2 is all about enemies to lovers, it's a little bit more sad, I think, than your basic we hate each other.
It's
Also, I
angsty.
want to
It's
bang.
angstier.
Yeah, it's angsty. Oh my god, give me angst, people. I love angst.
You know what? I'm such a hypocrite. I love angst, but at the same time, I don't want there to be angst. When there's angst, it's so good.
It's like borderline masochism of, oh my god, it hurts so much, but I love it.
Give me more, but
Give me more, hurt me. Yeah, that I think was a good romantic relationship.
I'm gonna reread that soon. I know a lot of people are in disagreement with me, especially a lot of my friends. When I talk to them about this, they're like, what? No. But I like shows, once again, I'm using this word again, but they're not overtly romantic, but you can sense there's something simmering. And at the end of the show or the book, this mostly happens in shows, crime shows, nothing happens, nothing comes of it. But that's the type of, it's heartbreaking that it doesn't happen, but at the same time, they didn't invest anything in it. And so there's nothing to be lost.
Yeah, you're wrong. That stuff infuriates me. If you're gonna hint at a romantic relationship and it never comes to fruition, I fully get so pissed off. I was like,
no, because
missed
a lot of those
opportunities.
relationships are in crime shows I watch, especially Korean crime shows. There's a show that I really, really, really love called Stranger. You think they'd have something, and nothing ever comes out of it.
Okay. Counterpoint, Miss Fisher, the underlying tension between Miss Fisher and Jack Robinson, but you get a kiss at the end of the series. They get together.
They're definitely, actually, they flirt with each other, especially on Miss Fisher's part, Franny Fisher's part.
banter, people. That's what I'm saying. And like underlying sexual tension. Oh my
Yeah.
god. They're so hot for each other. I love it.
It's really good. I
It
love it
is.
so
It
much.
is. That's another one of my top favorite couples, I think.
Okay, let's switch back to you. What's another?
Oh my god, I will talk about it all day. That's what I'm saying. Of I love the developing of the friendship. That's also a thing that happens in Bloodlines, Sydney and Adrian, who I also think have incredible chemistry, and they have absolutely opposite personalities, which is different I think from Sophie and Archer, who are kind of like the same person almost because they're both sort of sassy badass.
I think they're also both kids, so.
Yeah, there's that. Bloodlines, I think they're a little bit older. They're in their early 20s by the end of it. But it's another situation of where they are low key enemies, not quite enemies, in that Sydney is afraid of Adrian because he's a vampire.
But I guess Adrian could give less of a shit.
Yeah, Adrian does not give two shits. Actually, that was something I remembered going back and rereading it. I read it a couple years ago. Was it so fun to see that relationship develop because in book 1, Sydney cannot stand being in the same room as Adrian because he from a baseline disgusts her because he's a vampire and she's an alchemist and alchemists don't like unnatural things. There's like a little bit of a religious undertone to it. And seeing that shift over the first couple books, that's a slow burn. They don't get together, I think, until a couple books in of the relationship shifting from they're working together to accomplish their goal because they're both trying to protect the same person and sort of learning more about each other, developing an understanding of each other, and then becoming friends and like going to self-defense class together and going on adventures together and coming up with little inside jokes with each other, and then that turns into a romantic relationship. That shit is so
I
good.
think you really like kind of like school settings because
No, I don't. I actually really hate school settings.
really
Yeah, I do.
because doesn't Bloodlines.
It Bloodlines is kind of weird where it sort of takes place in school, but it also sort of doesn't. The
I
first
think
couple
I'm personally
books,
just getting confused because all of those paranormal romances I
yeah, they all
read were
blend together.
all took place in a school.
The first one, the first couple books, they are in school technically, but Sydney is kind of already graduated, so she's in school to keep an eye on everyone, but the majority of the story happens outside of school. School is just like a thing they do every now and then, but it's mostly her like learning magic and going off on side adventures with everybody to find people doing bad things. I don't know. It's been a couple years, but I don't really love school. It's just I was thinking about good romances, and actually I think that's part of the problem is that when you read adult books, people feel the need to throw in
Lust.
lust, yes, and sexual relationships, and then that becomes like the dominating aspect of romances in adult fantasy.
It makes it less exciting for me.
It makes it less romantic.
Yeah.
There's more of like a physical
I'm like,
emphasis.
like I'm fine with it, but it's
I definitely don't mind it, but
like does it have to be there? No.
I think I don't know if they feel like they authors.
I think that the lust works with if they're significantly older, like Franny Fisher and
Yeah, see, they do it really well, but they never act on it.
they never act on it, but there's still it's very sexual. They have like it's like
Yes, underlying sexual tension. Oh my god, give it to me. But when it's over, and I'm thinking of fucking
Forking.
Sun Trials, where every page was about how much Nadir and Laura
no,
wanted to
Fork.
fuck.
we're not gonna
Like,
no
see, that's a bad relationship.
check that out in episode 2.
But maybe that's why I find like there's better romances in TV shows and in books aimed for not younger audiences, but sort of younger audiences. Because I think YA books don't have good romances either. The ones aimed for high school students are generally not good. Like Bloodlines is the exception.
It's gotta be. I think the best, some of like the cutest, or like the ones I really appreciated were I read pretty. What do you call it? When I was in elementary, I read books that were meant for like middle schoolers, right? Because I loved reading. So those types of books that they weren't like elementary school level, but they were right. They were mid grade. Those mid grade books hit the spot. But nowadays, I don't know if they're writing differently, but but then again, I haven't read that many new mid grade. You said you liked the romances in a couple manhwas too. Do you want to talk about that?
Oh my god. Okay. Manhwas. at least ones aimed towards women, I think, or even the ones, honestly, even some of the more shonen-y type ones, they all feel like they have to have romances, regardless of genre. And modern romances have both the best and the worst romances I've ever
I
read.
personally only read romance manhwas. I go into manhwas wanting romance. Every single one that I've read has had romance. Even the ones that start with the little kids, they have some sort of love interest in the future.
Those are it's I always find that weird when like the adult goes into a kid body and then they have a relationship with a kid and I was like, I understand, but mentally you're like 30. This is weird. Why are you having a crush on a child?
Yeah.
So, Manhwa relationships have some of the best and some of the worst romances I've ever read. Some of the best, actually, the one that I think of as one of my favorite romances of all time is one called For Better or For Worse, or it's also called Is It a Fortune
Or
or
is
a
it woe?
Woe? Is it a woe? And that is pure romance. The whole story is just about the romance, and it is incredible because again, it's that same thing of first of all, the characters hate each other. It's not a friends to lovers, it's an enemies to lovers. And then there's like a little in between where they're sort of friends. And it's just breathtaking at some points. It also does that same thing I was talking about of the characters form this understanding of each other. They decide to sort of put aside their fighting and just learn to work with each other. So Cedric helps Dylan integrate into society and encourages her and is like, I'm on your side. And there's all these like little cute moments. They're competitive with each other. They form like their own little, like I said, inside jokes. You know what I mean?
You know that sounds exactly like Lady Ebony.
Yes. Lady Ebony, I think, is a little bit less because I think that one's focused more on the drama. The romance is like a side thing going on. That one was also,
Yeah, but the relationship is
yeah.
very similar.
Yeah. But there's this part in For Better or For Worse, which is, I think, one of my favorite romance scenes of all time. He's talking with his grandpa. Cedric is talking with his grandpa about what falling in love is like. I don't remember the exact. Wait, I don't know if I should spoil this for you because you're still reading it, right?
Oh, you're yeah. Don't I'm like 10 chapters away from I think that chapter you showed me.
Yeah, it's not really a spoiler.
No, honestly, you can spoil it. It's fine. Like I know it's gonna happen. Like
It's
no shit, they're like falling in love.
it's not a spoiler, but like they're talking about this thing where he's like, what is falling in love like, right? Because his grandpa, I think, got married twice. And so he said the first time he fell in love, it was like a gunshot. Like someone had shot him, and all of a sudden it was like the shock of falling in love. And then the second relationship of his life was more like being poisoned, where it's little by little every day, and then all of a sudden you realize you're like, oh, I've been poisoned.
Yeah, like this has been going on for a while now.
Yeah.
And oh, that poison is. I hate to say it again, but Good Omens, Carlina Serafil.
Yes. And there's this part where Cedric is talking to Dylan. They're sort of slowly falling in love. And all of a sudden, he looks at her and like the light is pouring in. The art is so beautiful. It's just absolutely breathtaking. And when he's looking at her, he's like, I think I hear a gunshot. No, wait. This kind of feels like I've been poisoned. It feels like everything is happening to me all at once. And it's so moving. And I'm like, oh shit, this is what a good love story is. But there that is one of my favorite of all time. I think the ending kind of drags a little bit, but we should talk about it when you're done.
Yeah. For me, I don't know if this is controversial or not, but A Wrinkle of Time, Meg and Cal. I only read the first book, by the way, but they're very adorable. Meg has no idea that Cal is like madly, he's like madly in love with her, and she doesn't love herself at all, and she has no self love. She puts herself down a lot, and Cal is like, no, no, you're beautiful, you're smart, you're all of this, and it's just really cute. It's really, really cute. And they're both kids too, and I think it makes it even cuter.
Aw, I mean,
It's really, really wholesome.
it's always kind of sad to think about when they're kids, they're probably not gonna stay together, right? They're
No,
kids.
I think later on the books they,
They do.
yeah, I think they get like married
Oh, well,
because it's a Wrinkle of Time. Wrinkle in Time is a series. I wanted to read it, but
it's not one of
it's
those.
one of those mid grade ones that
Here's
I
what to
can't go
say.
back.
Mid-grade romance, bro. It
That's
hits
all. I
different.
definitely will though. Fantasy is different,
Yeah.
but yeah. Oh, I guess it. Wrinkle Time is sci-fi though, isn't it?
I have never read it, so I don't know.
Shocking. It was a required read for us, but
Of
a required
course.
read that I enjoyed. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Because I was talking to Ani about this, and he was saying that one of his OTPs back in the day was Zuko and Katara, which they don't even end up together, I think, right?
They don't have. Yeah.
He said he liked it because he likes the idea of romance where two opposites come together, like
Oh, they were
people
more
who
than they
are,
were literal enemies though.
yeah,
That's very enemies.
yeah,
But
not
they
necessarily
obviously didn't come.
enemies to lovers, but more like a Romeo Juliet star-crossed lovers. I love star-crossed lovers, actually.
I'm not really sure what star-crossed lovers is. I
It's
mean,
like
I get it. Like they're not supposed to be together, type thing. But that almost feels a little taboo to me.
Yeah, that's what makes it so good. It's the angst, bro. It's the I really like you, but we're not allowed to be together, and us having a relationship right now is
I don't like
breaking
that.
so many
Yeah,
rules.
that's where we must part
Love it.
because I'm an anxious person and that gives me anxiety.
I
I
love
get
it.
anxiety for like I get like anxious of like the stupidest things in like movies and TV shows and books.
But it's like the Kate and Anthony, right? Like it's taboo. They're not supposed to be together.
Oh, I guess yeah, star-crossed. Yeah, I think
Yeah. Circumstance.
that's what I liked Kate and Anthony, but I felt anxious the entire time because I was anxious. "Ugh, are they going to find out? Are they going to be found out? Are they going to be found out?" They got found out on the wedding day, and that truly was my worst nightmare.
The
Nightmare scenario
the
right there.
secret relationship trope. I like that too.
It depends for me.
Really? Oh my God, I can't believe I didn't even think of it. Dance with Thieves is what it's called. You know the Kiss of Deception Revenant series? The second series to that?
Did I tell you I started rereading Kiss of Deception? I read it way before it was popular, like when it first came out, type,
Yeah, me too.
and it somehow got popular again. But so I started rereading it. It was really bad. I couldn't get through it. I don't know if it was
Really?
really bad or just I was too old for it. But
It's not really bad. Cause I go to the same cycle of I really want to finish it. So I reread it and I always get through the first two books and then I get to the third book and I just don't read it.
I dropped it. I don't remember anything about it
Because the
now.
third book is just too long. It's huge.
See, that's like in that era. It was the era of having two books published, and the third book of the trilogy or whatever wouldn't be published until I was out of high school, and there's no way I
Yeah.
would pick them up again.
Yeah.
Because then I would have to reread the first two books, and there's no way I would do that.
I know.
And that is why I never finished the Shadow and Bone books, which is crazy.
Oh my God. Speaking of old books, we were talking about it briefly before, but what's it called? Clockwork Angel? Will and Tessa, their romance is unbelievably sweet and well, angsty. It's mostly angsty if we're being honest. But I teared up a little bit with how that one ended because you get to catch a glimpse of it in the Magnus Bane book, the little side story novella where like centuries later she's sitting on a couch and hanging out with Magnus and she's wearing like a t-shirt um that and he's like she only bought it because it has the word will on it. Oh, like just carve out my heart right now.
Wow, Cassandra Clare on two ends of the spectrum, not the incest spectrum.
Well, I mean, when you think about it, I also really liked the Alec Magnus relationship, but that's just because I like Magnus, bro. That's just they have like the story of their first date. Um, which now thinking back on it, Magnus is being so much older than him, and
How old
Alec is
was?
like
Because
16.
they're like 16 to 18 to 20 or 22.
Yeah,
They're in
I
that 16 to
don't
22 range.
remember. Looking back
And
on it,
Magnus
it's
is
a
another.
little
I think
weird.
maybe that's why
He's like 300 something.
I think Magnus always felt a little too.
Old.
Magnus felt Tony Stark
Yes.
to me, and Alec does not fit in with Tony Stark.
He's kind
Alec
of
was a
childish.
little.
He's childish.
God, I don't want to say it, but he's a little Peter Parker.
I was just thinking that in my brain when you said he's Tony Stark. I'm like, yeah, Alec gives Peter Parker.
And Peter Parker is famously Tony Stark's adopted son.
Yeah.
I mean, not actually.
I'm pretty sure if I went back and reread it now, I would feel a little grossed out. But at the time, I thought that their first date story is very cute because it's both of them trying to impress each other and both of them failing miserably, which I thought was very, very cute. So, should we talk about bad bad romance, not the Gaga song?
Our next main topic is bad romance, not the Lady Gaga song.
I can talk about bad romances day in and day out. Like, because if a good romance is so hard to find, just the sheer piles of bad romances I've sifted through. When I think of maybe the worst one, or the one like pops in my brain, I'm like, oh, that's not even like poorly written, just disgusting. I forget what it's called, but this manhwa where I think it's like I raised the hero,
Oh, yeah, I became the villain's mother.
maybe, where she finds I think the villain of the story when he's a little kid and she raises him to adulthood.
Oh, yes, that's the one I dropped 10 chapters in. Because I realized.
She's a powerful witch.
Because I was in denial. Yes, I was in denial. She was like an ice witch. And I was in denial that.
She and the butler were gonna end up together.
No, I was in denial that the kid is not going to be the romance.
Yeah.
Right? This is not going to be your
Yeah.
romance. This is not.
Because it was really like cute.
I was looking for a family relationship, not an incestuous relationship.
Yeah.
They're not related by blood, but he's raised.
She's raising him.
You know, it's like Bruce Wayne going out with Cassandra or something. Or Cass, you know, from one of his adopted children.
I know. I read Wayne Family Adventure.
All right. I wasn't sure because I read the comics too, and I think I stopped in the middle of Wayne Family Adventures because
Wayne Family Adventures is better. But yeah, back on the bad romance. She's his mom, and it's weird. It's just weird. It's so disgusting. And when I realized that they were going to be pushing that romantic relationship, I was like, and we're done with that one. Moving on. That's maybe the worst romance I've ever seen just because of how gross that is.
Okay, and then I put every manhwa because they always chase after the female lead. They don't have boundaries. They don't have a sense of boundaries. The female lead just wants to live happily ever after on like in the countryside or whatever.
Yeah.
And
consent, mutual respect.
Yeah, none of that doesn't exist. Oh, I put Under the Oak Tree, but I feel there's a power imbalance. I know she's like technically noble or whatever, but she doesn't feel like that. And I feel there's in the castle or whatever, wherever she lives, wherever she lives now after marriage, I feel like people don't see her as strong or whatever. I mean, there are people like encouraging her, but I feel like they don't see her as someone in the same league as the male lead, which I get because she hasn't like been to war and stuff like the male lead has or whatever, but still they treat her like they baby her, and it feels really awkward. And also the part where I'm at now, he's like treating her like a prisoner.
Ooh,
and he's controlling
disgusting.
her. Yeah, she's like trapped in the castle. I'm like, I feel trapped too.
I hate the whole trapping the other person.
Oh no!
And like
we know
forced like romance in captivity. That being said, I love Beauty and the Beast, but that's different. That's animated and sweet, and they also become friends.
Oh wait, have you ever watched Once Upon a Time?
Oh yeah.
Okay. How do you feel about Swan and Hook?
Listen, Hook is hot as
fork,
but I don't remember really caring about their relationship at all.
Yeah.
Like, I remember at the time, I was watching it when it was super popular and it like when it was coming out, and everybody online was losing their minds about Hook and Emma. And I was watching and I'm just like, I kind of just don't see it.
You know what? Charming and Snow were cute, but
Yeah.
in Storybrooke, they were cheating. Because Charming was in a relationship. I think he was like married or
Oh my
something.
God, I don't even remember. It's been so long since I've seen the show, but
And they both know, and whatever. But they're still cute afterwards.
I think that
Oh,
show actually had a lot of really sweet romances.
I
Belle and Rumpelstiltskin need to
we're no
break the
no.
fuck up.
Yeah,
Like, she
no.
deserves better. Actually, I didn't watch last season. 'Cause you know what? I really loved the Robin Hood and Regina romance because my girl
Yeah.
Regina really just deserved to be happy. And then they
Mm,
fucking killed him. And for what?
I disagree. She's a piece of
Sure.
shit. But I liked her. You know what I mean? But I don't think she deserved to be happy. Wait, if you go back to the first season, I've been watching a
Uh-uh.
recap and she ruined
Dude,
so many people's
dude,
lives.
yeah, but
I mean, what excuses are going to make for that?
go on through the rest of the seasons, she changes as a character. It's called
Okay,
character growth.
character growth. Okay, this is my problem with certain characters, right? Like, I want to root for them. I really do want to root for Regina, and I actually really like her. But I can't excuse, and I think if I hadn't gone back, or if I hadn't like watched the recap, if I'm not watching the recap, I would have completely excused the damage she dealt to everyone. Because she was really, 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 she was evil. She was the evil queen, for real, for real. I mean, there's no excuse for it.
There's a couple. There's like some magical
Okay,
reasons.
no, but she was manipulated, but she was, again, she wasn't, she like murdered entire villages.
That's true.
And there's no excuse for
But I
that.
love her.
Yeah, but I like her.
She changes though,
Yeah,
is the whole
I
point of it.
know, I
She
know.
becomes better. She for like she saves people by the end of it. And
Yeah,
I
but she
just
keeps
feel
going back
like
and forth and back and forth and back and forth.
by the time season 5 rolls around, she's firmly in the good guys camp.
But I know,
And
but I think it's just because I started watching the recap that
yeah,
I'm getting that fresh of, oh
sure.
shit, she's like,
Yeah, without the like toning down every character. Like Rumpelstiltskin starts out as a piece of shit
Sure.
and stays a piece of
Sure.
shit to the end.
yeah, oh yeah, he only does anything good, quote unquote, for Belle. For no, he does it for the good of Belle, but it's the whole no boundary type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked Emma's and Regina's relationship as two mothers to this boy. I really
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, that was cute.
They were really cute co-parents.
Yeah. You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, as cute as Charming and Snow White were, I feel like they were cute season 1, but as the seasons go on, it kind of gets to the point where you're like, okay, we get it. You love each other.
Yeah, because it's the one, the true love's kiss. I'm like, how many times are we gonna get out of this?
But it's not even that. It's just like when some relationships, when the characters finally get together, it kind of becomes like too much. You know what I mean? It's like borderline cringe,
Yeah,
where it's like every time they talk to each other, it's like, I love you. No, I love you. It's like, okay, we get it. We understand. That's why I really feel like one of the things that's important in writing in general, but also with romance, is show don't tell.
yeah.
The characters telling you that they love each other means nothing. But you know what does mean something? When they're like sacrificing their life or their future
We
for
want
this.
ride or die,
We want ride or die. It's Hook giving up his ship for Emma. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Like, oh my god, the I started reading I don't want to talk about this book too much because I don't think it's particularly good enough to talk about, but A Crown of Ivy and Glass. And I feel like that really struggled in this aspect. That's what I was telling you about earlier with the spicy scenes. Um, that that wasn't. I really hate Love at First Sight, and it didn't do Love at First Sight. It really did start them off as not friends, but they actually got to know each other first. But oh my god, once they were finally declaring feelings for each other, it was so much of you are so brave, and people look at you and they don't see that, but I see you. You're incredible.
I
And
would run away. I would bury
know.
myself. I
No,
swear.
it's like I looked into your eyes and I could see the fiery passion that you have, and that's what
You know
attracted
what,
me.
Kay? That's what I want from you. I want you to come. Coming next Valentine's Day.
It's too much. It's too much. Tone it down, people. The romantic confessions can be great. Darcy, I love you. I
Right,
get
we
it.
were
right?
we were watching the scene, the field scene.
Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. But it's just too much. It's too much when you're like listing out all the reasons, and I don't know.
I mean, I guess that's contradictory because we did like that scene, but it's fine. It's fine.
No,
It was
but
Darcy.
it can be done well. You know what I mean? It's show don't tell. Darcy went and helped Lydia out and has helped her out on so many occasions without telling her.
He showed and then he told.
He showed and then he told. Like, saying that you love her means nothing. You better show it. I better see you cutting your arms and legs off because you love her.
She wants maximum effort.
And on her end, telling him you love him means nothing.
Kay's future partner, please listen.
You better be running after that train. You know what I mean? You better be like, Dad, I love him. Don't hurt him. I'm abandoning my whole family and running after him on that train. Which, if you don't know the movie I'm talking about.
So, is that it for romance? Our main topic?
I feel like we will be talking about romance like every
Yeah,
week.
it'll be,
because
but we read a lot of romance.
Yeah. The only thing I have left to say on romance, which is the only thing I made in my mental list that I don't think we actually talked about, I think what's more important, even more than the characters having chemistry or being friends or like anything else that we talked about, I really think the most important part of a romance is having well-developed characters. Like characters who have something beyond the romance.
Because you know what? Those developed characters, even if the author doesn't write it in, the scenes they have together, it'll feel like they have
Substance.
and it feels like they have chemistry.
Yeah. Because they feel realer, right? So it feels like you can draw the connections of, oh, actually, you two would be really good together because they're two fully fleshed characters. And that's yet another thing that Good Omens did, right? Even if you take the romance out of it, both Crowley and Aziraphale are well developed characters with their own goals and motivations that have nothing to do with each other, right? I mean, that's true for any of like the big romances that we were talking about.
In conclusion, don't make romance the main goal. No, don't make romance the main goal if your book isn't about the romance. Because some books, they're not about the romance. It's a different sort of, it's a book about the actual something, like their problems, the world is ending, whatever. Someone evil is going to take over, and the romance takes precedence over the plot.
Yeah, when we're talking about romantasy, yes, that's something I feel like authors need to keep in mind of just the romance enhances the story, but your characters better have goals and motivations outside that romance. But I feel like that's true even in romance novels of if your characters have personalities and goals and motivations and they don't just exist for the sole purpose of being in the scene, then I think that the relationship that develops is just that much more interesting. That's it. I feel like we pretty much thoroughly discussed everything else I had to
Yeah, we probably
say on.
repeated things over and over.
Oh yeah, there'll be a lot of cutting I think in this episode.
So should we move on to low expectations?
Yep, low expectations. Whether that's low expectations for whatever we're gonna watch or read, or expectations of ourselves to actually commit to what we say we're gonna watch or read. Our very last segment. Since to break the fourth wall here a little bit, since Valentine's Day is coming up, but not quite here, we're doing our own little GALentines. And so we're thinking let's pick a good classic rom-com. to
Good.
watch.
We're not sure about good, but we're thinking of picking one out. Hopefully, it's good. I like when it's good. You know what? Sometimes I don't go into things hating things.
No, we are going to pick it. It has to be one or the other. Either it's a actually good, heartwarming romance, or we're picking something out purely for the hatred.
Does it have to be pure romance, or can it have romance in it?
I think we got to go pure romance. It's Valentine's Day.
You know what? I've never watched Stardust, and I've been wanting to.
Me neither, but
That's another Neil Gaiman, and we've had a good track record so
okay.
far.
I'm just looking up best romance, and now we are throwing the Notebook out, right?
No, we're not watching. We're not watching anything with a sad end. I will not.
The Notebook isn't sad. It's bittersweet.
It's sad.
It's bittersweet. They lived a whole life together.
I thought they. Oh, I guess. Actually, I don't remember.
No, like the whole point of it is that is he telling her? I think he's telling her the story of how they got together because she has Alzheimer's and is forgetting. And so he's like trying to remind her. So it's sad, yes, because I think they both die at the end, but they've lived a full life.
Okay, then that's fine. But still,
That being said, I don't want to watch it.
I still don't
Oh,
want to do sad ending.
The Princess Bride. But you know what? Romance is not, even though romance is the point of that story, it's really not. And it's not, I would not categorize that. That's just pure iconic. Palm Springs is on this list, and Palm Springs is actually really good.
What? What?
Palm Springs.
Palm Springs. Oh.
That is, I wouldn't call that a romance, but there is romance in it, yes. Ghosted is on here for romantic adventure movie.
No. No, we're not.
Oh my god, there's a biopic of William and Kate Discourse. Can I just say?
Oh, the mummy. The old one, obviously.
I don't know if I'd categorize that as romance. Can I just say I find real life romance disgusting?
Me too. Like, it's gotta take place in some sort of world. And it cannot
It
be
cannot be.
planet Earth, the one I live on.
Yeah. I don't mind reading like a fiction romance set in modern day. That's fine. I just can't stand like people shipping people in real life.
I can't stand pure romance books. It's gotta be.
I don't mind.
I can't. I can't stand it. It's too secondhand embarrassment. Yeah, I get secondhand embarrassment over this.
That's because you're reading bad ones. When you read the good ones.
I've tried, man. I've tried.
Okay. So after some deliberating,
Lots of deliberating,
lots of deliberating,
intense research.
we have a short list of potentially amazing or potentially terrible romance movies to watch for GALentine's. So as it goes, our list is Emma on this list still? Or are we taking Emma off the list?
We'll keep it. We'll
Okay.
we'll shelf it.
We'll shelve it. So it's Emma because period piece, obviously Jane Austen, we love. Stardust because we're in that Neil Gaiman vibe. There's the Guernsey Potato Society, whatever it was, that one because period piece and book clubs. We love a book club. Anyone But You because it's based on Beatrice and Benedict, and I
Love.
love them. They are the real stars of that play. So it's only got a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, but
We're gonna ignore that. Who cares about Rotten Tomatoes? You can.
it's hit or miss.
It's fine.
And then Crazy Stupid Love
Yes.
is on that list as well. So that's the short list.
Yeah.
We
Are we
will.
gonna add Mr. Malcolm's list to it?
I haven't heard. What was that one?
That one was another romantic period piece.
Oh, okay. Actually, we'll add that to the list too because looking at the description, this feels like something I would like.
The cast is wild. It has Gemma Chan, Ashley Park, Theo James, Frida Pinto. Frida Pinto is wild to me. It's such a random thing.
Theo James. Sure. Add to the list.
Yeah.
Divergent. Let's go. 4. But that's the short list. We'll probably, I don't know, spin a wheel or something, or maybe we'll watch all of them in one very long binge.
I think we can. We totally can.
We totally can. But we will update after it's over which ones we ended up watching. By the time this comes out, we probably won't get an update until March. So we'll keep the romantic vibes going.
You know what? What if we edit this really fast? This episode is kind of a mess though.
Yeah, it kind of
Like on the
is.
technical side, we've had some difficulties.
A technical side, even topic wise, I really feel like we could talk about romance forever. And we will be because the majority of what we read has romance in there. And I have opinions about my OTP. Actually, you know what? Before we finish this off, do you have an OTP?
I probably do, but I don't know.
Oh, dang.
I don't remember. I probably do. I know there's like a one that I'm like, wow, this is what I want
I
it
would
to
have figured it'd be
be.
like an Avatar one because whenever I ask people, they always say Avatar. Yeah.
Really?
Everyone has strong OTP opinions about that show.
I don't care for the romance in that show. Like I
Really?
could give less of a shit. They're like kids. I'm not
I don't
romanticizing
know,
them.
bro. I don't know, bro. Because OTP was
And Cora is certainly, I really didn't care for the romance there. It didn't really make
because
sense.
I feel like OTP was like a thing in like 2014. So I was like
Yeah.
high school era, and
No, that was like definitely Percy and Annabeth. That's what
oh dang,
that was like back then.
it was Lucy and Natsu from Fairy Tale for me.
Oh my god, it's been so long.
Yeah, it's ongoing. Not the original. There's like the 100 years one.
That's
Yeah,
crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
yeah. Well, maybe that's a question to keep thinking on for.
My OTP is me, Shanks, Sanchi, Zoro. Live action.
Oh my god.
Sprinkles of Mihawk in there too.
Okay. Well, I think we'll call it
A night.
we'll call it a night. So, thank you everybody for listening. You can follow us.
On Instagram and Twitter at Less Than a Day Pod. And our Gmail is lessthanadaypod@gmail.com. You can send us suggestions for what to read, what to watch, or any episode ideas.
Yeah, send us who your OTP is. What kind of romance tropes do you guys like? But thank you everyone. We'll catch you next time. Bye.